Welcome to your EFL Championship hot takes for a Sunday, and they are advantage Leeds and Sheffield United at the top after Burnley and Sunderland's Friday night draw. Advantage Watford in the playoff chase. Nobody won between about 3rd and 11th. Watford the only team to do so. Gary Rowett is performing absolute miracles at Oxford. They won again. And down at the bottom of the table, a rarity, bang, bang, bang. Cardiff, Hull and Portsmouth all win on the same round, which is great news for them and really bad news for Plymouth and Luton and their new managers at both clubs. Get involved in the comments, especially if you were at any of those games. And we will start off with the top of the table. And because of the watch-alongs return in this round, I have seen 90 minutes of 3 of these teams. And it was after you this weekend, wasn't it? Burnley and Sunderland, we've covered to death because we did the watch-along on Friday night. 0-0, all about Wilson, Isidore and James Trafford at the end of the game. Lots of ways you can look at this. On the one hand, massive chance missed for Sunderland. You have 2 penalties. You should win the game. But then, on the other hand, across the 2 games against Burnley, they've taken 4 points and not conceded a goal. So, in that kind of microcosm, that's fine. But obviously, you know, in the moment, when you have not 1 but 2 penalties, you should be going away winning the game. From a Burnley point of view, I guess, they've now ticked off Sunderland from their opponents. They're right in the mix. And look, when you survive 2 penalties, you do come away thinking, okay, we'll take it. Give me my point and my clean sheet, and on we go. That obviously left the door open for both Sheffield United and Leeds, who both won home games. Sheffield United beating Norwich. What was that? 2-0. Harrison Burrows, who was in Sam's team of the season so far, with both of the goals from fullback. And Sheffield United just continue to knock it out, don't they? And they move on to 55 points from 27 games. And that is with a -2, which we have to mention every week as well, in terms of the points per game being even higher than it would actually appear in terms of the table. Chris Wilder was hyping it up as the return of lots and lots of players. I know they've lost Kiefer Moore now as well. I think he's going to go and have an operation. But there were returns, and Sheffield United can now build. It's not 20 to go now, it's 19. And we are at the start of a 3-game week. So very, very quickly, rounds 28 and round 29 will be done. And all of those people, I love to pick on you because I think it's a very foolhardy thing to say, but all of those people who come in the comments with the it's too early for this, it's too early for that. No, it's really, really real now. The transfer window is open and we're going to the last 19 games. And looks like there's going to be action at Sheffield United. I think a lot of people have sort of made Leeds favourites just on the idea that the squad is just a bit more settled and kind of finished. Chris Wilder has said as much, but it looks like, Ben Brereton Diaz, that looks pretty much a done deal if he's been pictured at the ground yesterday. And we think a possible couple of others, Tom Cannon heavily linked. It looks like they're going to spend some cash as well to guarantee they get over the line. So all looking good at Sheffield United and the ungodly home record there, and another clean sheet. That all continues. I have literally just finished watching Leeds beat Sheffield Wednesday 3-0. And take this as a compliment, Leeds fans, because 3-0 actually flattered Leeds in the end. They scored from a mistake from the Wednesday keeper early on. And then Wednesday were actually the better side for the majority of the first half. Leeds then, it's fairly tit for tat in the second half, isn't it? And Leeds grab the second goal. Great substitution by Farker. He waited, and Ramazani comes in and scores pretty soon after coming on. And then they actually get the third goal. They've also got an ungodly good home record, Leeds. We can say a lot of the same things about Leeds and Sheffield United. Another win, another clean sheet. But why you need to take it flattered them a little bit as a compliment is, how good is that? You cannot play well every single week and just sweep everybody away. But you'll take a 3-0 home win every week if you're not at your best. And I think a lot of that is down to Sheffield Wednesday, who, unlike a lot of teams at Elland Road, actually, got on the front foot where they could, made chances. Josh Windass should have been clear through. There was a couple of set play bits and bobs, a couple of other good positions that Wednesday didn't take advantage of. So if you're a Leeds fan, other than the conversation about Meslier, He returns and keeps a clean sheet, and we're not going to be saying anything about him today. But other than that conversation, surely you're saying, well, this is just ticking over and the home wins keep coming. And it is 56 points from 27. And, okay, it could all change in midweek. A little kind of discernible gap. It's Leeds 56, Sheffield United 55, Burnley 53, Sunderland 51. And if you actually factor in points per game, and it would be 57, 56, 53, then you've nearly got a game's gap, a little bit of daylight, and Burnley and Sunderland will not want that gap to open up anymore. So, as you'd imagine, all the Leeds and Sheffield United fans would have been hoping that Burnley and Sunderland would draw and both take points off each other, and that their sides would both win. That is what happened. So, first hot take, quite cold though, advantage Leeds and Sheffield United can all change in midweek. Leeds, Norwich, Sheffield United, Swansea, Burnley, Plymouth, Sunderland, Derby. We'll see where we are in the promotion race. And as I said, beneath those four at the top, not a lot of wins. We'll get a chance to talk about Tony Mowbray returning at West Brom in due course. They drew, Blackburn lost, Middlesbrough lost. We're going to talk about that in respects of Pompey. So it was a good round for Watford, who went to Derby and won 2-0. Now, a lot of the conversation is going to surround Paul Warne and the Derby fans kind of losing a bit of patience, worried about the trend down for Derby. The results have not been good at all. They are in 19, 4 straight defeats, 1 point off the relegation zone. But from a Watford point of view, really good win. They've now got 4 points from 2. They've been on a losing streak themselves. And we know that a turnaround for Watford looks like them trending back up towards the playoff places. And we all know that, look above them, Blackburn, okay, they got the win in midweek, but I'm only seeing 4 points in 5 games. West Brom have only won 1 in 5. Middlesbrough have only won 1 in 5. It is not a stonking pace. And if Watford can, you can't rely on just winning at home every week and not being very good away. But they've picked up an away win here. Can they get things moving again? And certainly the results have gone for Watford this week. QPR won again. 10 points in 4, 3 consecutive wins. We spoke about QPR. Can they now become a top half side after that dreadful run that I think they were bottom, weren't they? Not even just down at the bottom. I think they were abject bottom, but they went to Plymouth and got the win, and the young lad Coyle is scoring again, and Cifuentes is proving that we should never have doubted him, even in spite of that terrible run. So QPR are into the top half. Helpful that Swansea lost from their point of view. I mean, they're 6 points off the playoffs. I dare say if you spoke to Rangers fans, if they've got even short memories to go back to being bottom of the table, they'll just be happy, keep Cifuentes moving forward, be in that top half. But man, if the doors open in the playoffs, you never know in the Championship, do you? Can you be the team to go on the mad run? It will probably need kind of automatic promotion form or top 4 form to get close. But hey, they're on a run. They're the form side in that kind of region of the table. Coventry, we've got a big up as well. Coventry got a win. They go to 14th. They'd been 4 without a win. And it's a pretty useful win, isn't it? It's a clean sheet and a 1-0. Thomas Asante, where's he been linked with? Blackburn. He got the goal against Bristol City. And Bristol City have been in really nice form. I think I predicted this one would be a draw and there would be something for Bristol City at the CBS. But they've been inconsistent so far under Frank Lampard. They've got themselves the win here, Coventry. Can they build on it now? And again, look, we can say this at most times during the season. You can throw a blanket over the teams just looking at the points. But yeah, from Bristol City in 9th down to Preston in 16th, you've got a 6-point gap. And all it takes is, even, I don't know, you tell me, 13 points in 8 games or something, and you will move up through that crowd. And we know then if you're in the top half, we know what the fans of Coventry and QPR are going to be saying. They're going to be saying exactly the same things as the fans of Watford, who think a playoff challenge is possible with even kind of middling form if you're in the mix, and all of those clubs are. Wow. I mean, what can you say about Oxford and Gary Rowett? Now, I don't know, you tell me in the comments, squad-wise, have Oxford got the if you were ranking the squads out of 24 in terms of the resources Gary Rowett's got to play with, where are Oxford? 24, 23? They're down there, aren't they? He is doing a miraculous job at the moment. And look, you look at a new manager bounce, a fresh start paradigm, whatever you want to call it, the psychology of people when there's a change. And essentially, you're doing the same thing, but there's a change. And all of a sudden, the outcomes are different from when Des Buckingham was there and Gary Rowett was there. Maybe you're not doing the same thing, but you know what I'm saying? You're doing the same thing. You're a football player trying to win football matches. And all of a sudden, Oxford are really, really winning football matches. You looked at it, and it was, I think 3 wins on the bounce to begin with. And you're like, that's amazing. That alone could save Oxford from relegation. When you look through the season, are you going to be looking at the points per game and it just goes whoosh for 3 games? And that's going to be enough to get you to that sort of 45, 46, which normally guarantees you survival. It didn't guarantee Gary Rowett survival at Birmingham last season, but they've built on it, haven't they? A couple of draws and then they've won a game. So if I'm right with my numbers, I think so. It's 4 wins and 2 draws. It's 14 points in 6 games. They're probably the form team in the entire division. I don't know if any of the top teams can match that right at the top. Anyway, it's irrelevant because they're not competing with the top teams. They're competing with teams who are nowhere near that points output. And to extend that new manager bounce over 6 games is absolutely fantastic. We kind of spoke with Sam on the predictions about, can you start ticking off teams and putting gaps in? Well, let me tell you now, the gap between Oxford and Plymouth, 11 points, 19 games to go for both of those sides. Between Oxford and Luton, which is the next game, is now 6 points. And, well, Portsmouth and Hull, they're all tied. They've put a lovely little gap in there, and they've put a massive bump in their points per game. And Oxford are currently 16th. Again, I'm not assuming Oxford are just going to win for the rest of the season. You would assume there'll be some kind of regression to the mean, and it's not going to be easy. But if you're an Oxford fan, and I'm right, and it's going to be 45, I mean, look, Portsmouth are on a point per game, and they're in 22nd. So if they do the same thing they've done all season, they're going to finish at 46. Oxford need 18 points in 19 games would take them to 50 points, okay? So kind of just slightly below survival form for the rest of the season, and they are there. Whatever happens, Gary Rowett, amazing job so far. And we haven't mentioned Cameron Brannigan, great strike. And who did they beat? Blackburn, who are 5th in the table. So I don't know what more you can say about Gary Rowett's start. It just couldn't have been much better. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. I watched Cardiff, and we've got to group these together because this is the really bad news for Luton and Plymouth and Derby to a certain extent, that you really don't want 3 of the bottom sides all winning. And they're currently 22nd, 21st and 20th. So 3 of the current bottom 5 all winning on the same round is rare. You might get that after Easter when we always get those weird trends up at the bottom of the table and people are fighting and clawing and scrapping for survival. But yeah, that now puts Plymouth, as we say, with a 5-point gap to safety and say an 11-point gap to Oxford, who we thought were going to be a big relegation contender. It's also a 5-point gap from Plymouth to survival. Luton, they're all level on points there, but Luton have been dragged to 23rd. They are a year 1 parachute team. Incredible where Luton find themselves. New manager, though, can they get the bounce that the likes of Oxford have with Gary Rowett? So Cardiff are the first big winners. They're 5 unbeaten as well. 9 points from 5 games. And what a way to do it. 3-0 against your big rivals, Cardiff beating Swansea in the big derby. It was 0-0 at half-time, but Callum Robinson, I'm stating the obvious, it so helps if you're anywhere in the table, but if you're at the bottom of the table and you've got a striker in form who can get you 10, 15 goals in a season and win you games, and Robinson is doing that. He did it at Watford, he scored twice. He's done it here, he scored twice. And how valuable are those points? Cardiff out of the bottom 3 in a massive win. You can check my real-time reactions over on the watch-along we did on Saturday lunchtime. Great win for Hull as well. Hull are the ones down there, along with Luton, to be fair, that I just expect to trend up. So I know Hull fans will go, oh, come on, Ben Sellers has come in. He's got a lot to clear up and, give him some credit. I will give him some credit, but we do expect a Hull trend up with that squad. That squad shouldn't be where it is, but hey, look where Luton are. We're probably an even better squad than Hull. But how many points has he got? 7 in 4. So he's moving nicely. And that's great to go to Millwall and win. Hull getting the job done. As we speak, they're out of the bottom 3. Pompey do have a game in hand, and we do go to a midweek round, so it can all change. But the signs are that Hull are going to trend. I mean, is there enough time for them to trend out of the bottom 6? I don't know, but they're certainly looking to be trending away from the bottom 3. And what a win for Portsmouth, by the way. I saw John Massinio's post-match, and he said, a morale-sapping defeat. It was Blackburn, wasn't it, in midweek, the rearranged game where they'd been all the way up there once and it had got postponed and they'd gone up there again. And 3-0, was it? I can't remember. Lots of games going on. But to beat Middlesbrough, who are a bona fide playoff contender, been on a good run themselves. Okay, a few draws in there, but they haven't been losing. And to come from behind. I think Matt Ritchie got both the goals, didn't they? Latte Lath opened the scoring for Borough. Stay in the game and get the win. And what we keep saying about Portsmouth, there's a lot of nice ticks in the box here for survival, isn't there? They're doing well at home. Home is a fortress. It's difficult for geographically for teams and away fans to get to Portsmouth. You've got to try and leverage that. Plymouth have been good at that. I know they're rock bottom at the table, but I'm using it to illustrate a point. And good from set plays. You want to be good at home. And you need goal scorers, and Matt Ritchie to be getting a couple, and we've already bigged up Lang and Bishop and Murphy for doing bits. They've got goals in the team, and if you can have a decent home run for the rest of the season and pick up what you can away from home, that's normally enough. They're at a point per game, which is better than Hull and Luton, but we have this debate at the bottom of the table. It's often you would rather have the points on the board than the games in hand, because teams at the bottom don't tend to win the games in hand. That's why they're at the bottom, go figure. But great for Portsmouth, and the fact they can win games at Fratton is a big, big deal. And yeah, disastrous day for Luton, who didn't win. They drew 0-0 with Preston, and Plymouth and Derby, who are both on winless runs and losing streaks in Derby's favour, where you do, if you're a Derby fan particularly, and you're sat there in 19th and you've been reasonably mid-tabley for most of the season, now going into this bad run, you're worried that Hull are going to trend up and Luton are going to trend up. There you go. Those are your hot takes today. Get your thoughts in. Advantage. Sheffield United leads at the top. A good day for Watford. The results went for them. QPR, what is the ceiling for QPR and Marty Cifuentes on this good run? Oxford and Gary Rowett. I don't know what more you can say about the superlative new manager bounce to Oxford are getting under Gary Rowett, and a bit of a freak show at the bottom. 3 teams all winning in the bottom 5. What does that mean for your club? Get involved in the comments. We will see you for predictions with Sam tomorrow. Over and out for another championship round number 27.